All right. Thank you for being here today. Welcome to the best Rotary Club in the universe. We're going to start this meeting with an invocation. Oh, wait, that's usually me. But Daryl, do you mind doing our invocation?
Our Father in heaven, we bow to honor thee and to pay our respects for the many blessings that thou bestows upon not only our club, but our community. We're grateful for the wonderful weather, for the opportunity of gathering together to learn new things from those who present the program to us. And we thank thee for the opportunity we have to provide services and programs and locations for enjoyment in our community. We pray now that thou might bless the food to the bodies of those who partake, and that we might again have thy blessing for this meeting, and do so in the name of thy Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Thank you, Daryl. Now our Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And if we could do the four-way test. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? And today's song. David Bricka, would you mind doing our song today? Ruth had you highlighted on here for doing the song, and you're always good for a song.
Of course she does. Let's do My Country 'Tis of Thee today. My country 'tis of thee, sweet land of liberty, of thee I sing. Land where my fathers died, land of the pilgrim's pride, from every mountainside, let freedom ring.
All right, thank you. Let's have a seat. Do we have any visiting Rotarians, Bonnie? Hey, do we have a? I'll say a little bit. Oh, for Bonnie there, she's our visiting Rotarian.
Bonnie Bowers, visiting from the Anacortes Rotary.
Thank you, Bonnie. And do we have any guests of Rotarians today? No guests?
And well, we do have a visiting Rotarian. Kyle Rutherford is here today.
So. Okay. All right. Do we need to fine him $1 for that, or you too? Okay, there we go. Just a point of privilege here. Bonnie just came over to say hi. We appreciate her coming by. Bonnie's one of our port commissioners, or she's port commissioner. And she's also, I called her a guardian angel earlier. When I was a little baby police officer working night shift by myself in Sedro Woolley, she was a patrol deputy working in the area. And as soon as I got left alone at night, when the bars all closed, the drunks all went home to fight with their wives, and I was the only person left awake in Sedro Woolley, other than the drunks and the bad guys, she would call on the radio and say, "Hey, I'm in the area, just in case." Thank you, Bonnie. I appreciate it. So let's move on to club business. Becky Eldey, did you have a quick announcement or?
What is July 1st? Anybody guess? Installation right here. We're going to install Lynn Tucker. We're going to have a fun evening. So we've got a sign up going around. If you haven't signed up yet, please do, because I need to let the caterer know pretty quick.
Thank you, Becky. And up here on my, the dais before me, I have a thank you card from Mason Requa. It says, Sedro Woolley Rotary Club, thank you very much for choosing me as a recipient for one of your scholarships. Your support means a lot and will help me achieve my goals. Sincerely, Mason Requa. Yep, so is Louis here? No, we'll let Louis know that we got the card and I read it out. Moving on to other club business. Did anybody ever research or find out where our coolers went after the auction? Do we know if anybody went to LaConner Seafood to see if they had them? Nope. All right,
That'd be a good thing for Josh since he did the coordinating for the food, so.
got it.
put him
I'm gonna
on it.
probably run over to LaConner today or tomorrow. I may just stop by and see if they've got them anyway. Photos. Ruth had a request for photos for the new booklet. There's a whole list of people that need new photos or updated photos or photos that match the current format of the booklet that we're working on. So if you haven't had your photo taken in a long time and want to get a new photo, we need Ruth's going to try to be here, I think, next time to try to take photos. So if you could be aware of that. Let's see. And then Becky's already taken care of the installation signups. If you could, please sign up as soon as possible. I know we are all very prompt at doing things early and getting these things taken care of as soon as possible. So we want to stay with that tradition and try to get those signed up as soon as possible. Do we have any other announcements from the floor? Sheena?
If you have not received your dues bill, look in your junk box. For that, you can send payments to Steve. If you Venmo them in, please put a comment in what your payment is for, and then you can text me and I'll mark you off paid.
Got it.
Yeah, Lynn.
Kyle, do you have something?
Just joking around. Yeah, 4th coming up soon. We have 40 runners registered as of today, and we had 710 last year. So Rock and I are going to try and aim for 1,000 within the next 2, right, in 3 years. So we're excited.
And also this weekend is Blast from the Past in downtown Sedro Woolley. Metcalf Street will be full of vendors selling a variety of wares. And that's Friday through Sunday. On Sunday, we're having the car show down Murdoch and Woodworth Street. Last year, we had over 200 cars. We're hoping to exceed that today. The weather's going to be great. So if you enjoyed those things, come out and spend money for the city. Somebody had.
Got everything all lined up and got posters and banners for the concert series. I'll probably bring a couple of those next week if you guys can hang them up around town. For the concert series, first one, I'm looking for pictures. Joe Allen, I'm sure you might be able to help me out. I want to do a highlight and just highlight the park and all the work that the club has done down at Riverfront, from the amphitheater to the covered picnic areas. I mean, just over the years, any kind of history. Just put it out there for everybody in the community to see, all 4 Sundays. So if you have anything, reach out. Thanks.
All right. Thanks, Chris. Anyone else? Anyone else? All right. We have a raffle. You guys want to get the raffle rolling?
First number is G52. 52, our guest.
And I think Bonnie was already speaking for the Rainier beer. Or you can spin the wheel.
There you
There you go. Yep.
I'll even deliver it. How's that? You're welcome. Yeah. Next number 6767. You said it was going to be lucky, so.
You didn't bring a special bottle that you wanted to get?
Oliver Hammer.
And one more.
think that might be rigged. It's all high numbers today. 56. Oh, president pays $10.
Got it. I'll let her know. All right, Pat, you needed to get in and out of here fast, right? There you go. Sergeant at Arms, you're on.
All right, I don't have any trivia for you this week. Mark, instead of getting fined for your bald guy joke when a couple of us walked in the door, can you help me pick up, please? Thank you. All right, if you are not wearing your badge, and I know we have at least one person, that'll be $1. If you took your badge home with you, that'll be $1. If you did not sign in, that'll be $1. We are a service club. We've had 2 service opportunities. The Mosier family had won the auction work party, and then we had the Epic Day of Service. If you did not attend at least one of those service opportunities, you owe $2. The Epic Day of Service at Helping Hands. Our auction was last month. If you did not help either set up beforehand or clean up afterwards, you owe $1. And if you are an early leaver and you have not excused yourself with our speaker, you owe $1. All right. With that, does anybody have anything left for Happy Bucks? David?
Yeah, I've got a happy 20. First off, it's always great to see Bonnie here at our meeting. We go way back to WSU days, and it's always great to see you. So thanks for being here. We had the Washington reception for Blake and Victoria right in the space last Saturday. We had about 175 friends and family, and it was a marvelous celebration for this great, wonderful couple. And this space is really a top-notch space to have an event. It's reasonably priced. The city's great to work with, and it's just a lot of fun. So, in with the upgrades, like going out there to the kitchen, I give a really huge thumbs up. So, Joellen, all the city people, well done. Last night, I had the distinct honor and privilege to present the 43rd annual BRCA Excellence Award to Shelby Richardson, a well-deserving young lady. All I can say is Ruth was a puddle of tears in the far back of the auditorium. All the kids this year, really amazing group of kids. What was really, really special to me is I was introduced by 2 students whose parents received the award in 2001 and 1999. Kyan Johnson, DeYoung, and her kid, and then Mike Janicki's grandson. It was really very special. It meant a lot to me. So that's it.
Chad?
Hello, I got a happy 5 just to be able to announce this Saturday from 10 to 2 at Pioneer Marketplace. Out front, my office will be holding a fundraiser for Because We Care Animal Rescue. So if you're down at the event in town, just roll around the corner and drop off a bag of food or give a $5 bill or whatever you can give. It's a local animal rescue charity.
And Joellen?
Thank you. I just want to invite everybody Friday and Saturday at the Sedro Woolley Museum. It's our 2nd annual For the Love of Northern State. So Friday at 6:30, John Horn will be presenting things on the cemetery. And at 11 and 2 on Saturday, it will be all of the headliners from the Northern State Hospital newspaper. So invite all you guys to come out.
All right, we have Nick and then Eric.
5 happy bucks, 5 nervous bucks. Nervous bucks, my daughter passed her driving training. Thank you. Happy Bucks. She gets to drive herself to a 6 a.m. practice in Sun Valley 4 days a week. Yeah, so wish us luck. Good. Look for a gray Highlander on the road and veer left.
Eric?
I have a happy 25. This is graduation week, and it's in honor of the class of 2025. It's always a highlight of the season to be able to go to all the events and celebrate the kids, get your cup filled, and remember why you deal with the angry emails and the public and all the other things that come with this job. But last night was a great event. There was $2.354 million in scholarships that were handed out last night. We had a couple McIntyre and a couple scholarships where they had such impressive Sedro Woolley applicants that they ended up giving out 2 awards instead of traditionally 1. So a very impressive class, Mason Requa being amongst the many of them, but very happy and honored to be a part of that.
Kyle?
Thank you. A happy 100 because I haven't been here in a while. Well, actually, it's 90 for that, and then 10 to express thankfulness that we survived. Sarah and I and 2 of my kids did the rim to rim to rim, which is 50.2 miles, 11,000 vertical, and it was 111 at the bottom this last weekend. So that was hot. And we saw 13 helicopter rescues in Grand Canyon. So
thank you. Earl?
Happy 20 coming through Venmo. Just been working for the last school year with the alternative school down in Auburn on technical advising, where the students compose their own play and put together their own sets and lighting and audio. And it was a full house for their performance last night, and I can't wait to read the New York Times review.
Chief Bowers?
I have a $5 gratitude buck. Thank you, Sedro Woolley School District and Sedro Woolley Rotary, for lending us Brett Greenwood for the last 10 months. He's coming back to you. We love him. We're going to miss him, but he's left us in a really good shape. So thank you very much. You should be excited to get Brett back. He's a great guy.
Anybody else? All right. Thank you, everybody.
All right, before we take off for early leavers, I got a couple of other things that just came up. We have 2 items that did not sell or get picked up at the auction. We're going to auction these off. One of these, I honestly don't know what this is. It's a partial foil at a hairdresser. So I don't know what that is. So we have a partial foil at looks like Tracy Metz, the owner, donated this, and it didn't make it through the auction. Do we have a bid for this? Do we have a bid of Carl? What do you? And she does Carl's hair too. So we got a $15 bid. Anyone? There we go. Keith's got a 15. Anybody else? Anybody at 20? Anybody at 20? All right. I guess Cindy's got a partial foil then. And our other one is a 1 kitten package from North Cascades Vet Hospital. And Ken Van Loo brought this one in. Do we have a $15 bid on a 1 kitten package for North Cascade Hospital? It is a $329 value. Sheena, 15? Anybody at 20? I'm sure we could find you one. All right, sold. Appreciate that. And with that, we have early leavers. And if you want to go ahead and take your leave, I know a couple of people already said they needed to go and are heading out the door. Appreciate you being here. But I'm going to, the two people, which I'm going to charge $1 a piece for abandoning their post. One of them was supposed to be announcing our speaker, and the other one's the president, which I always end up spending money every time she is not here. But our program today is with Cory Ertel with Boeing. Cory's a Anacortes Rotarian, and Cory was born and raised in Seattle and is a graduate of Ballard High School. He earned a dual degrees in political science and history from Central Washington University and is currently pursuing a master's in leadership and management from the Thunderbird School of Global Management at Arizona State University, with graduation expected now. Yeah, there we go, a couple weeks. Cory and his wife Naomi have been married for 18 years and are raising our 3 children, Natalie 17, Wyatt 14, and Wade 11 in Anacortes. And with a career rooted in public affairs, Cory has worked with elected officials at the local, state, and federal levels. He's held government and public affairs roles across multiple industries, including home building, electric and gas utilities, and oil and gas. Since July of 2022, he has served as the lead grassroots advocacy professional on Boeing's government operations team. Cory's been a proud member of the Anacortes Rotary since 2012, and you're up.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Lynn. Thanks for having me, everybody. Yeah, as mentioned, I'm a Rotarian in Anacortes, so it's always a pleasure to be able to speak in front of a Rotary Club. It's been quite a while since I've been to this particular club. So thank you very much for having me. I think this is our button. Is this correct here? Let's see. Yep, no problem. Oh, perfect. Here we go. So I'm here to talk about Boeing. I'll talk about a number of different things. But generally, it's kind of about what is our profile here in the state of Washington. Most of us are familiar with Boeing, but hopefully I can share some new tidbits or some interesting information about kind of what's going on at Boeing. But I'll start kind of back at the beginning. Boeing was founded in 1916 in the Red Barn in Seattle. Just quick show of hands. Has anybody ever been to the Red Barn? Yeah, I'd say more than half here. It still exists today, incredibly. It's at the Museum of Flight down there at Boeing Field. If you haven't been to the Museum of Flight, it's awesome. I went there, I took my kids there a while back. The Red Barn still exists, and it's pretty neat just to be able to be, Boeing's an iconic company, with local roots here, but now we're, this global enterprise, but the roots are here in the Northwest, and the place where the company was actually founded still exists. So I think it's pretty neat. Check it out if you haven't been down there to the Museum of Flight. So Boeing, we're broken into 3 divisions. I think most of us here are probably most familiar with Boeing commercial airplanes, so what we call BCA, because that's headquartered here in Washington. But we also have our defense, space, and security business, as well as our global services business, which provides a variety of different products and services to both commercial and defense customers. So we have a relatively new still CEO, Kelly Ortberg, and he started at Boeing last summer in August of 2024. A couple of interesting things of note. Unlike the past several CEOs, Kelly has elected to be based back in Seattle. So I think that's kind of noteworthy and important for us as Northwesterners to recognize that. Kelly's got 35 plus years of experience in the aerospace industry. He's an engineer by trade. And I think there's a lot of momentum around kind of, I think, sort of the turnaround, if you will, at Boeing over the last few quarters, certainly the last several months. A lot of that, I think, we're all excited about Kelly being in seat. And so if you haven't heard of this, yeah, we have a new CEO. He's doing a great job. So I think, when we think about Boeing in the news over the last, certain amount of time, we talk a lot about safety, and it's critical. It's cornerstone to what we do is our focus on safety. And I'm going to spend a little bit of time talking about kind of what we're doing in that space, but just to kind of set the context around safety in aerospace when it comes to Boeing. When we talk about safety, there are approximately 37,000 737 flights across the world every single day. They're about every 2 seconds, a 737 takes off or lands somewhere in the world. On our newest kind of variety of the 737, the MAX line, we got 700,000+ customers that fly on the MAX every single day. So when we talk about safety, it's critical. We have airplanes in the sky and that are taking off and landing, and it's big, high stakes. And so just to kind of set a little bit of a framework or background around when we talk about safety, this is kind of what we're talking about. We have, over the last number of months, really kind of 2024 and certainly ongoing in 2025, we have what we're calling our safety and quality plan. This is something that we're working in conjunction with the FAA. And there's 4 primary elements to our safety and quality plan, and I'll provide a little bit of detail on kind of each of them. But the 4 areas you see on the screen: investing in our workforce, simplifying our plans and processes, eliminating defects, and then elevating our safety and quality culture across the company. So we talk about investing in workforce training. Just a couple of highlights. So we've added 2 weeks of training for all employees, and specialized training, specialized enhanced skill training for our employees that are hands-on tools working on the airplanes. We've developed workplace coaches and peer training program for more structured on-the-job training for our employees. We've had a lot of turnover over the last 5+ years with COVID and just different things going on, that we've had a fair amount of turnover. And so it's really important that we capture that knowledge from our more experienced employees and make sure that all the new people that we're bringing in can get up to speed as quick as possible. Big focus on simplifying plans and processes. So let's see, here we go. Just generally making our work instructions, our processes less complex, more easy to understand, more straightforward, and then reducing steps for our employees to be able to access the critical information they need to do their role in the build process. Eliminating defects. So this is obviously super important. We've added layers of inspection and what we call pre-shipment approval for major structures. And so what this means is we could get large components, large structures for the airplanes that are perhaps built somewhere else, and then they're shipped to us. There was, some instances where we would take them knowing there might be some issues that needed to be resolved later. So we've kind of backed that up and put that onus back on our supply chain to make sure that what they are sending is ready to go and in the proper condition before we receive it. And then increasing factory compliance sweeps across every shift. We work 24/7 at our commercial facilities here in the Northwest, and so we're increasing those compliance sweeps. And then lastly, and certainly not least, is just a general focus on our culture at Boeing and really elevating safety and quality and reminding everybody about its preeminent place in our culture. And so one thing I'll call out here, which is sort of an example of our culture at work, I would say, is we have new criteria now for moving airplanes and managing what we call traveled work. So if you were to go on a factory tour of our facility in Renton, you would see a number of planes that are kind of down the line, and there you can kind of progress left to right looking and see, okay, well, now the plane has this part, and it's starting to look more and more like a finished airplane down the line. Well, again, there's avenues for if something's not quite right, you can still move the plane forward, and then you have to kind of fix that later. That's called traveled work. We want to avoid that, eliminate it as much as we can. It's obviously not the best way to do it, and it's costly down the road because we have to go take it out and make the repairs. So we have a different criteria now for moving the planes down the line and allowances for what we call traveled work, trying to minimize or eliminate that whenever possible. And then we have our speak up culture, which is really just working with our employees and encouraging everybody, whether you've been here 30+ years or 3 weeks, to speak up. If you don't understand something, say something. If something doesn't make sense, if you have a question, a concern, to speak up. As part of our culture work, we took feedback from our employees and got tens of thousands of recommendations. And so a lot of our work has been around cataloging those and kind of prioritizing those and figuring out how we can action those as best as possible. All right, so I'll talk a little bit more about, what's our profile here in the state of Washington. We've been around for over 100 years. There's not a lot of companies that have been around for 100 years, so we're really proud of that legacy. I know I grew up in Seattle, and I, always sort of envisioned maybe there'd be an opportunity to work at Boeing, especially as I got kind of later into my career. And so it's, we have a really strong reputation that's built over 100 plus years, but you got to earn that every single day. So I'll talk a little bit more about, why is Washington still so important to Boeing? There's been a lot of talk, I would say, over the last several decades about how Boeing's leaving Washington and now they're building stuff in South Carolina, and the headquarters moved to Chicago, and then it moved to Arlington. I'll tell you that, at least from my perspective, and I think I'll back it up with some data here, Washington State is still very much the heartbeat of the Boeing company. We have more employees in Washington State than anywhere else in the world, and it's not close. And we're continuing to invest here in the state of Washington. So Washington's the headquarters of Boeing commercial airplanes. We make our 737, our 777, and we also, it's absolutely important for us to continue to invest in here. A couple other things we have what we call a wholly owned subsidiary. It's called In Situ. Makes military, kind of drones. That's headquartered here in Washington State, down by the Columbia River. And then also our headquarters for test and evaluation, when we're, certifying new airplanes. That's done here in the state of Washington. I mentioned more employees in the state of Washington than anywhere else in the world for the Boeing company, 67,000 plus. And I wanted to dive in a little bit deeper. So 67,000 plus employees across the state of Washington. But what does that mean for here in Skagit County, right? So we don't necessarily have a manufacturing facility here in Skagit County like we do down in Everett or in Renton or Seattle. But there was a point in time where Boeing was the number 1 or 2 largest employer here in Skagit County, and I think we're still right up there. So we have nearing 1,000 employees here in Skagit County for the Boeing company. We have over 1,000 retirees. Charitable giving of over a couple $100,000 a year. That's made up of employees giving and then the Boeing company corporate match on top of that. And then here's what I think maybe we're familiar with here in Sedro Woolley to a certain degree, and it's a critical part of kind of our profile, if you will, in Skagit County, is our supply chain. We can't do anything without our supply chain. There's some pretty big companies down the road that do really critical work for aerospace. And so, we have 11 or so suppliers here in Skagit County and spend roughly $30+ million annually with our suppliers. So again, while we don't have a factory here, Skagit County is really important to the Boeing company. I thought it'd be kind of relevant and interesting to point some of that out. Some of our big Boeing sites here, I'll talk briefly about a few of them. Everett, kind of the biggest facility closest to us. It's the largest indoor building by volume in the world. It's really impressive. If you have not had a tour of the Everett factory, I would encourage you to do that. The future flight is there, but it's just an impressive building to be in. And this is where we make our wide body airplanes. This is where all of the 747, the Queen of the Skies, were built. We built our last one in 2023. We still build the 777, and we're in the process of certifying the sort of next generation of the 777. So this is a wide body, kind of the most efficient large wide body airplane in the world. The 777X, it's pretty interesting. It has these folding wing tips because the wings are so long. Really a cool plane. We built a while back our composite wing center in support of that 777 work. And then one thing I'll mention here, the KC-46. So this is the 767 that we modify for the Air Force. This is a tanker, aerial refueler. So this is a plane that goes up and can refuel everything from fighter jets to Air Force One. Really fantastic airplane. And the one I want to point out though here is the 4th 737 line. And this is a real example of Boeing continuing to invest in the state of Washington. Theoretically, we have demand for 737s for 5+ years. We need places to build more. We have kind of the space that we have in Renton. Where else could we build these? Boeing chose to build these in the state of Washington, right? So it wasn't built somewhere else in some other state. For as much as I'm sure other states would love to have us come there, the decision was made to continue to invest here in Washington, utilizing the great workforce that we have. So that fourth 737 line, the first three are in Renton. That fourth line is getting pretty close to being finalized, and we're going to start being able to produce the 737 Maxes in Everett, which is really exciting for us. Renton, fascinating history, was an Air Force and a Navy facility. Some of the most important aircraft for the World War II effort were built in Renton. After World War II, really the dawn of the jet, commercial aviation age came about in Renton. So you think about sort of older variations of Boeing aircraft, the 707, the 717, the 727, and nearly every 737 that has ever been built, nearly every single one, was built here in Renton. So super important. It's the workhorse facility for the Boeing company. Also, just a couple of military derivatives that are built off of the 737 airframe. The E7, which is a surveillance aircraft, kind of can be the brains and up in the sky for us, operating in forward areas for us. But the one I want to kind of more specifically call out is the P8, which is my personal favorite aircraft that we make at Boeing. We have a P8 squadron at NAS Woodby. These are the submarine hunters for the Navy. They can go out into the oceans and find where potential adversarial submarines may be located. They also have a lot of really cool search and rescue capabilities that can be used domestically. So really great, airplane that we make in Renton. I'll go through these a little quicker. I know we got just a certain amount of time. Our delivery center at Boeing Field in Seattle. This is basically where we, kind of hand over the proverbial keys to our customers. We make delivery and they can fly them off. Interestingly, and this is something I learned, we can have customers that can take delivery from Boeing Field, fly over to SeaTac, and start putting in passengers and making flights, which is pretty cool. So that's going on in Seattle. A little bit quicker here, we have a really important facility down in Kent where we do 737 engine work and a lot of space activity. Auburn, we have almost 5,000 employees down in Auburn at a fabrication site. Have another fabrication facility a little bit further down the road excuse me, I'm not passing this along. Kent, Auburn, Frederickson. Okay, Bingen, this is where we have that wholly owned subsidiary that makes military drones. Let's see here. Moses Lake, we did a lot of maintenance work on 737s over there. And let's talk a little bit about our workforce. So as you might imagine, the sort of the average wage, the compensation package for a Boeing employee is really, really competitive in the state of Washington. We have a study here recently. Average Boeing wage is, and this is not, sort of senior executives. This is, kind of a typical Boeing employee. The average wage is about $110,000 a year. You compare that to the state of Washington, which is close to $90,000, which is also really, really good. But it's important. I mean, these are a lot of jobs that you don't necessarily have to have a college degree for, right? These are folks that maybe like to work with their hands and make a great living for themselves. We had a union negotiation last fall where we signed a new 4-year contract with our machinist union. And at the end of that contract, the average wage for machinists will be close to $120,000 a year, which is excellent. Also, our 401k package is one of the best in the nation. This is strictly for our union, and our non-union 401k package is comparable and very great. The union 401k package, as part of this new labor agreement, Boeing's going to make an automatic 4% contribution. There's a 100% match on the first 8% of pay. That compounds to 12% total match if the employee takes full advantage of it, and 80% of employees maximize this. So it's really great. Not only a great opportunity for today, but setting our employees up for their future. Also noteworthy of the union negotiation was a company commitment to build the next commercial aircraft here in the state of Washington, which I think, whether you work for Boeing or not, is great for our region, great for our economy, and something for us all as Northwesterners, I would say, to celebrate. Just a little bit about our workforce, a little bit more about kind of who makes up our workforce. 15% of our workforce is made up of military veterans. And okay, so that's, that's obviously we have a lot of our customer base is with the armed forces. So we, are fortunate to be able to also tap into those folks when they retire and leave the service. But we also have a real big focus on trying to reach out to the youth of today and encourage their involvement in aerospace manufacturing. And so we have a partnership with the state of Washington and a program called Core Plus Aerospace. This is a 2-year program for high school students, hands-on aerospace manufacturing education, which is great. We had our about a year, maybe a little over a year ago, we had our 1,000th Core Plus student who graduated, hired straight into Boeing. So think about that, a 18-year-old that graduates this program and can get straight into the Boeing company, making great wages, having great benefits. These are our partner programs around the state. There's over 50. The closest one for us here is at the Marine Technical Center in Anacortes, which is available to our folks here in Skagit County. We also have a program for our community colleges. Similar, basically, if you can go through this, it's called Manufacturing Futures. If you can go through and get this kind of certification, in essence, you can kind of go to the front of the line and bypass a lot of the interview steps because you've already demonstrated that you have certain qualifications on certain job codes at Boeing. And so we have this at Skagit Valley College, and then up in a couple of schools up in Whatcom County as well. A little bit about what's on the horizon. I mentioned, we have a huge demand for our aircraft. I mentioned, 5-year backlog. So we project, and we do this every year, we update it. We have a 20-year kind of planning horizon. We project there's going to be a need for over 42,000 aircraft over the next 20 years. It's unlikely Boeing will fill all those. There's there's a competitor out there that's going to make some airplanes too, but we'd like to capture as much of that as possible. Where are those airplanes likely to be delivered and of what kind of size and variety? About 3/4 are in the single aisle variety. So think today the 737. It's what we all take typically, on domestic flights. And then we look at it closer to 20% in the wide body, which are the more international flights, and then a much smaller portion on regional jets and freighters. Where are they going to be likely to be delivered? The short answer is all over the place. So if you look at that kind of pie chart, you got 20% China, 21% kind of the broader Asia Pacific outside of China, 22% North America, 23% Eurasia, and then more of our developing markets making up the remainder in the Middle East, Latin America, and Africa. I'll talk briefly here about sustainability. This is an interesting looking aircraft. It's the X-66A Sustainable Flight Demonstrator. This might be what a future generation of a commercial airplane might look like. It has very long, very thin wings that are attached at the top of the fuselage and then braced at the bottom. This is a project that we've been working on with NASA, being built with an old McDonnell Douglas aircraft down in Southern California. And so going through a bunch of testing, and you might see in the coming years potentially more pictures and videos on this, and it could potentially be something that looks like this for a future aircraft because of its aerodynamics and ability to reduce aviation fuel consumption, so it's more sustainable. And that's really what sort of whatever the next generation aircraft really has to make a step change around sustainability, so it is attractive for our customers. Sustainable aviation fuel is sort of what we can do more in the near term as opposed to redesigning, and creating new aircraft. In the near term, sustainable aviation fuel can be used as a drop-in fuel with aircraft today. It's made from non-edible plants, agriculture waste, forestry waste, municipal waste. The challenge is producing enough of it. And so that's something that fuel producers are always looking at, and it's kind of a chicken and the egg in terms of demand and how much is going to be made and how much is going to be consumed. But it is something that can really make a difference in the near term in terms of reducing aviation emissions. I know we're getting close to time. Just real quick, charitable giving. Boeing has made our first charitable contribution in 1917 to the University of Washington with a wind tunnel. We've been large partners with the University of Washington ever since. We do a bunch of charitable work here in the Northwest. We annually give to over 300 community organizations. About $50 million was given to those organizations in 2024. We have kind of three key areas, and I'll kind of go through this quickly. Another part of our giving, though, that I really wanted to highlight is our employees, and our employees really lead on this. We have what's called our employee community fund, ECF for short. The Puget Sound chapter of our employee community fund is the largest chapter in Boeing. Been around for 75 years and given $650+ million over that time. And that is direct employee contributions to our community. So, we're grateful for the leadership that our employees have in giving back and helping to make the community that we all live and operate in what it is. And I'll kind of wrap it up here. This is just if you're interested in supporting American manufacturing and American defense, and the products that Boeing makes to support that. There's a website. You can find me afterwards. It's called watchusfly.com. And we can get you plugged in and get just periodic updates on what's going on. And we have obviously Facebook and X pages and a Boeing in Washington website. So I know I ripped through that pretty close at the end. If we don't have time, I'm happy to stick around, but okay. Yeah, I'm around for as long as you guys want, but thank you again for having me. I'll try to answer any questions you have.
Hi, Carl DeYoung. Awesome presentation, answered a lot of questions. When Bill Boeing launched that first plane, talk about a disruptor and innovation, right? So I'm going to continue on with that. The future Boeing in 2027, there's going to be a new 737 or new little airplane. And then beyond, we're looking at the X-37B going to the Space Force. We're looking at the MQ-25 Stingray, really cool drone unmanned, the loyal wingman. Where's that going to be leading us down the road? And then pulling that back to all the great schools that you have to feed into the engineering and the manufacturing and the executives, and then your outreach into India, Australia, and Saudi Arabia and the partnerships that are being built there internationally, because this is an international company. How does that relate right here in Sedro Woolley to see those manufacturing jobs come here, and so people don't have to commute down to Everett, but just stay locally in this great area that we love is the Skagit Valley? Thank you.
A great question. It sounds like you track this stuff pretty close and you got a lot of passion around a lot of these products. So while I don't know off the top of my head how much the suppliers here in Sedro Woolley or even Skagit County necessarily are plugged into each of these individual programs, I probably couldn't say it anyways. But I would say, you look at some of the stuff we talked about. The next commercial aircraft is going to be built here in the state of Washington. It's important to have local suppliers. We have, I think it's, gosh, I'm going to mess this up, but we have over 1,000 suppliers in the state of Washington, which is one of our highest states in terms of the concentration of suppliers. So the fact that we're building, and the majority of our suppliers, while we're a global company and we have suppliers all over the world, the majority of our suppliers are still in the United States. So, when we talk about building our products here, we talked about how the impact of the supply chain here in Skagit County, over $30 million, spent annually as a ballpark. I think that's all good news for our supply chain. And again, while we don't have the big manufacturing plant in Skagit County, Skagit County is really important to us, right? We have almost 1,000 employees that live here. And we got, you talk about remote work, all those things, but also the supply chain, the people that are building the products to be able to help us make and assemble the airplanes. A lot of that work's done here in Skagit County already. So I think, as Boeing continues to be successful, we have these new programs. We have some of these things, these defense programs that are being, won at the federal level. We're making more on the commercial side. I think that's all good for the state of Washington and for our supply chain, which certainly includes here in Skagit County.
I have to assume that you're building more and more drones. How many drones a year are you making, and how many are you projected to make, say, in 5 years?
That's a great question. I wouldn't even be able to wager a guess. I know that there are, we talked about some of on the defense side, MQ-25. There's products that are autonomously operated. There's some other defense products that are autonomously operated. There's also on the commercial side, there's a company that is a wholly owned subsidiary of Boeing called Whisk that is making autonomous air taxis. And these are, they're basically, I think they're 4 or 6 people. There's an operator, not in the actual aircraft, but kind of remotely. But they're designed, I think, at least initially for densely populated cities that perhaps they can get you from point A to maybe the airport quicker than an Uber could. And so these are being developed right now. There's a lot of talk about trying to introduce those in certain high concentration cities for big events that might be coming up in the next few years in the United States. So there's a lot of work around autonomy. How many exactly are we making? I have no idea. But I'll tell you that it's across both the commercial and the defense side. I mean, this is something that is taking hold in aviation for sure.
And I'd ask you if there was any that were used in Russia recently, but you'd have to kill me, so I won't ask that question.
All right, is that it? All right, give Cory a hand, please. And before you take off, we have a Sedro Woolley Rotary keychain with our logo on there. Appreciate it. Thanks for coming today. And thanks to Carl DeYoung for being a plant in the audience to really make him look good. And Carl to ask a couple of disconcerting questions that might get NSA involved. How many drones and where are they at this point? Not the least bit suspicious. Thank you, Bonnie, Port Commissioner, an old friend, for coming today. And apparently Bonnie knows half of you out there anyway, so she's always welcome. And if we could pick up chairs and put away tables, we are adjourned.